Hey everybody, this is Rob, and I just wanted to share with you a little video of what I've been working on lately. So I have been working on a ttrpg solitaire system. So the way this works is I finished a big milestone and another project I was working on, and I sat there and I said, now what? And I closed the program, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So in response, I realized that I was having a bit of a mild burnout. So in order to not lose all of your enthusiasm, the best thing that you can do if you still want to do the thing is to do something kind of adjacent to the thing, but not the thing. Right? That's the best advice I've heard. And if you do still want to do the thing, you will find stuff to do eventually, just not the thing, and eventually you'll go back to the thing to begin with. So, I enjoy solitaire games, and I was going through my pile of games, and I found a old solitaire scenario from Tunnels and Trolls called A Goblin Lake. A Goblin Lake is probably one of my favorite micro scenarios because I figured out a thing to do in it, and I'll share that with you later, but I just enjoyed Goblin Lake, and I was looking at it, and then I had this thought, and I went to my brother. He's a streamer. He goes by Timber. He goes by Timberbolt. Only it has a 7. And he's in the kitchen, and I go over to him and I say, "Hey Timber, how about instead of all the stuff for your RPG, you just have your character, you have a map, and you move your character around the map like it's a board game, right? And then in order to fight monsters, you use the combat system from your favorite game." And he said, "That sounds neat." And so I started to do stuff. And one of the things that when you start to do stuff is that you suddenly realize that, granted that took 3 sentences to explain, but when you go to write it down to make sure everybody can understand it, it can be quite involved. So when I was trying to figure out how to market this thing, I thought, hey, you know what? I am connected to a small bookstore up in Chicago, all right? And granted, my account's probably old by now, so I'll have to start a new account or restart the old account. But what I can do is, I kind of like making zines, but not too much, not too many, but still something or other here and there. So I thought, wait a minute, if I can fit all these rolls into a single little zine, and I ship those little zines to a store, then they're in a store, people are looking at them, they look at the back of the booklet, and they want to find out more, and our information to find out more for other adventures is right here on the back of the booklet. And I can make these little booklets like these in an afternoon, right? So I just had to fit the rules into little booklets, and that's what I did. So I was able to fit these into booklets. But there's still a couple of questions that you might have, so I figured, okay, let's make an advanced edition. So I've cannibalized a Worthington, kind of not cannibalized, because that'd be mean, or borrowing a little book game from Worthington Publishing to use as a to use as a a test object. Okay, I've also created another little booklet because this is what I've seen from other creators and mostly from ttrpg, I believe. So, what is the rules for this little game? Okay, let me get the latest edition for you. So, like I said, you need a character. You need, I don't know what dice your favorite game has, but you need the dice from your favorite game. You need the rules from your favorite game. Okay? And when you make a character for your favorite game when you're playing this system, is you need to give them a new stat called movement points. To do that, you roll a d10 and, hang on, let me check. Let's see. You need to give your character movement points so you can move around on these adventure maps. Is you need to roll a 2d10 and keep the lowest. I kind of like the low rolls because it gives a bit more of a spread, and it doesn't give you too much, right? So we're not, if a dungeon is roughly 15 to 20 rooms, and you get that 20 movement points, I mean, you're going to be hop, skipping, and jumping all around the dungeon, and we can't have that. So whenever you move around, you have a limited amount of movement. Okay, so we have our character. It's got movement points. You will have a character sheet with, like you do if you're playing your favorite game. And this also recommends you have a gaming journal. Usually there will be adventure maps provided, but you can also be able to create your own adventure maps, which I'll handle later. So you need a player token. Let's see, here's mine. And the player has to do one or two things to help them play this game. They need a list of 20 random monsters, and they can create bestiary entries for those monsters if they want to. So what they're going to do when they encounter a monster in this system, their game might have the monsters set up like this, but in order for it to work with this system, we need to change all of these little numbers here. So in order to do that, we give the player this guide chart here. But in order to prevent one-shotting of the player or one-shotting of the monster, we have a base of MR, which is the monster rating, +2, or the player's starting damage divided by 2, and add that to the base monster rating. Okay, so just so that one party's not more powerful than the other. And let's see, we have a character. We got our monster list. I don't have a monster list available right now to show you, but that's what we would like the player to create. And so now we got a character, we got a map. How do we move about the map? Rooms. The adventure maps are made up of 4 things. An adventure map is created on a grid. Let's see, where's one of the latest grids? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so this is a this adventure is a pocket adventure, which is what this format is called. This pocket adventure has been reworked to fit on an A4. Nothing has changed about the adventure. It is exactly the same if it were the pocket version. It just now fits on an A4. Alright? So, movement between rooms. Movement on the map. Excuse me. Movement is divided into four types. Movement between... Okay, so here is one type of movement. You start in a start space. Okay? If you move, you can move into a hallway. Sometimes there's not a big enough hallway in between rooms, so you move from room to room, from room to hallway. And if a hallway is too long, we divide the halls into one or more places. We split the halls into one or more places, and each one of those splits, or a divided hall, is a space, counts as a space as well, and overlaying on top of any adventure map is this grid, because not all dungeons are 6 feet under. So if the player wants to move outside the dungeon to move to another section of the dungeon, they have this grid system to work with. So why not hexagons? These are easier to draw. And probably faster to draw than hexagons. So, while not everybody can do hexagons, I'm pretty sure most everybody can draw squares, I think. So, inside each one of these rooms is a MR list. Okay? Now, what that means is those are the monsters that are in that room. Okay, so when you enter a hall, or you enter a room, or you enter any kind of map space, you have to perform a search function. Alright? To see what is in that room and what are you fighting. Alright? So you need to roll a 3d6, and because there are 20 monsters, 19 to 20 is reserved for the boss. And so 1 through 18 is for common or standard monsters. And so in order to get at least from 3 to 18, you will need to roll a 3d6. So, if the two lowest rolls are greater than the highest available MR on the map spaces list, say we roll a 3, then we found this monster of 3 here. Okay, and then we need to fight that monster. Now, which monster you fight, to figure out which monster you fight, the player goes back to the list, they take 2d20, they roll 2d20, keep the highest, and whatever number that is the monster that they fight from their list. So, then, using their favorite game's combat system, they fight that monster until one of them dies. Alright? And then they go into another room, is a search. They go into a hall, they search. They go into another room, they search. They go into a divided hall, they search. And you only win if you get to the boss room and you beat the boss. That is how you win. So, if you don't find a monster, you get a clue. And let's see, where do I have that? It's in here somewhere. So, clues may be used like key and doors. if you don't have enough clues and you can't go into a room, you can't go into a room, you can't get out of that room. So sometimes you may or may not want to find monsters and you want to find clues instead. And sometimes there are treasure rooms. These are for advanced maps only. And essentially that is the game. So that is what I have been working on for the past several months. And I created this as a bit of a test product, I think. So it is called Roll for Blight. And here's the first page, table of contents. Here's where the rules start, and the rules go until the rules end. And at the end, in the back, you have a selection of adventures done by me and maybe some other people. So, and what we're working on right now is we're working on the adventure map creation rules. We're having a bit of a problem with difficulty and what that means for the player and what that means for the game. Trust me, it will be fixed. We love our tables, and so I have a few tables for you, and I give you guidelines as to how to create a dungeon for Roll for Blight, and guidelines for what I think a dungeon for Roll for Blight should be. It should so that everybody can create them. We don't use polygons or curves or maybe one circle because I want everybody to be able to use this system and to play this game with their favorite game. And I think that the just having the squares and no curves is simple and faster than a bunch of polygons mucking up the page. So that is what I've been working on. I hope to have a download version soon. I am going through the dungeon creation rules and the map creation rules, so they will be also available soon, or rather than later. And when that happens, I will do another video on them, and I will also have another video showcasing more of the gameplay and a turn or two with a set of rules. So and let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.